Bend the knee! Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Don Willie back again with another video, and this time we'll be doing something just a little bit different than normal. Like most people, there are questions I have about this series with regards to character motivations and, just kind of general things about the series that we haven't gotten, mainly because some people don't have POVs, or there are things that are left to be revealed. So I'm just kind of sitting here wondering to myself, just some small minor things. So today I came up with a list of 5 questions that I have. Now, obviously, these are not all the questions that I have, but I figured I'd start off with these 5, and maybe I'll do some more later when I've written them down. Or I think I do have some written down at home, but enough of that rambling. Let's get it on. So, question number 1: why does Littlefinger hate Tyrion? Now, you might be saying to yourself, I don't think Littlefinger hates Tyrion. I think he just was using him as part of his schemes. Now, the only reason why I would disagree with that assertion is because it seems like over and over again, Littlefinger specifically targets Tyrion to be framed. He frames him for trying to kill Bran. He frames him for Joffrey's murder. And I think there's maybe one or two other things in there that Littlefinger specifically frames Tyrion for. There are a bunch of other people he could frame, but he just keeps on throwing this stuff back on Tyrion. And I'm like, I wonder why. Like, what is it that Tyrion could have possibly done that has Littlefinger like, hey, you know what? No, that guy. It's gotta be him. He's gotta be the one to take the fall. He's not the only Lannister, right? He might be the only dwarf, but if you wanted to screw with the Lannisters, there's a bunch of them you could have used. Could have been Lancel, could have been Kevin, could have been any number of other, minor Lannisters or whatever. But for some reason, he specifically is picking out Tyrion to be the culprit for a lot of this stuff. Now, it could be that he feels like he's doing a favor to Tywin or somebody. I mean, I'm not exactly sure, but it just seems like, like he has it out for Tyrion specifically. I don't know. You guys let me know what you think about that one. Number 2, where are the rest of the Targaryens? Now, for those of you who are only show watchers, uh, this may be one of those things where it'll kind of fly over your head unless I explain it. So I'm going to give you a little bit of back history as to why I am asking this question. For those of you who have read the books and are kind of into it and know about the history, you can kind of skip about, I don't know, a minute ahead while I get into this particular part. So about 200 years before our current story, you have a king known as Aegon the Unworthy, Aegon the Fourth, right? And he was kind of the Robert Baratheon of his day. When he was young, he was handsome warrior, blah 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 blah. But as he became older, he got fat, liked to drink, and had a bunch of bastards. On his deathbed, he decided to legitimize all of his bastards, and this actually wound up causing a war for the throne between his legitimate heir, Daemon the Good, Daemon the Second Targaryen, and one of his bastards named Daemon Blackfyre. Now, while in the books we hear basically that Daemon Blackfyre's entire lineage is supposed to be extinct pretty much, what happened to all of the other bastards and all their descendants? Unless they happen to die off in the Great Spring Sickness, which actually killed Darren II, there should be a lot more people out there. I mean, we have absolutely no idea thus far, and it seems like none of the bastards actually took the last name Targaryen. But, look, these are people who keep records because lineage is very important to them. So, if anything, somebody would be able to trace back who is son or daughter of whoever. And I know that Westeros doesn't do queens, but as far as a new king, that shouldn't be too hard to figure out. In the case of them trying to figure out who is going to succeed in the line of succession, if there's no Daenerys, if Jon turns out not to be a Targaryen, blah 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 blah. You already know the rest of it. So I mean, that's part of the reason why I'm wondering where are the rest of them now. We're supposed to be getting the Fire and Blood book after this series is over, so you know, give or take 10 years or more, we'll get the entire Targaryen family history and possibly all the lineages, etc., so we can figure out who is uh, who is who, what happened to them, where they lived, when they died, where they died, etc., etc. But yeah, that's my second question. Where the hell are the rest of the Targaryens? Does anybody out there have any ideas at all? Let me know. Number three, why are tales in this particular world usually known as songs? Right? Now, we know that there are actually songs with lyrics and melodies. Your two most famous examples in this particular, or three most famous, you have The Dornisman's Wife, you have The Bear and the Maiden Fair, and you have The Rains of Castamere. Those are like the three most famous songs in this story that have like lyrics and melodies, right? Then, like when they talk about tales of heroism, those are also referred to as songs as well. Now, I know this is based loosely off the Middle Ages, so I know that they use different slang back then, or not even slang, but just different terminologies or stuff. So maybe 5, 6, 700 years ago or more, maybe your average what we would call bedtime story or fairy tale was called a song back then. There wasn't a particular difference. Today we either call them bedtime stories, fairy tales, or in some cases poems or epics. But that was just one of those things I was kind of wondering about. And if anybody, who happens to be a better student of history than I am, can give me some insight into this, please, feel free to put it in the comments. I'm always glad to be schooled on affairs of history. Number four. Did Tormund Giant's Bane possibly have the Horn of Joramun without realizing? So, in A Dance with Dragons, after John reads the pink letter and basically is telling people what he's about to do, you have Tormund blow a horn twice, right? And right after that, you have 1-1 outside ripping apart Sir Patrick, right? Now, before this, 1-1 was cool. He was docile. He wasn't causing any trouble. But right after Tormund blows this horn, it seems that you have this melee take place and this giant who is going berserk. The Night's Watch Oath, which references the horn that wakes the sleepers. The Horn of Joramun is, depending on who's telling the tale about the horn wakes sleeping giants, or it can bring down the wall. So imagine if Tormund has the damn horn, has no idea that he has the horns, thinking it's a regular thing. He blows the horn, and then instead of you know instead of it just being a regular thing, it winds up turning the giants crazy. And since one is in the vicinity, it winds up turning him psycho, and he winds up ripping up Sir Patrick like a ragdoll. I think that could possibly be revealed in the Winds of Winter that Tormund had the horn, had no idea he had it, blew the horn, and that's what sent 1-1 into that frenzy. Because as of right now, we have no other explanation. So that's the best I could come up with for that particular one right now. Number 5. Why didn't the Kingsguard, who were at the Tower of Joy, tell Ned what they were doing? Again, for you show watchers, you might have absolutely no idea what the hell I'm talking about. So, possible spoilers for you guys for season 6. So, you got Ned, he goes to the Tower of Joy to get his sister. You got 3 members of the Kingsguard there. They're talking back and forth, but the Kingsguard doesn't run, blah, 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 it's one oath. And pretty much these guys should be aware that this entire conflict was caused because of the woman who you guys are supposedly guarding right there, right? You would figure that the smart thing to do would be like, hey, look, we know what this is about. We know why you're here. The reason why we're protecting your sister is because currently your sister is pregnant with the heir to the damn throne. And she might be giving birth to the heir right now. I'm pretty sure that Ned and the rest of his people probably wouldn't have wanted to do battle at that point. You could have actually convinced Ned to go to your side and possibly fight against Robert and Jon Arryn at that point. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows, right? But to me, it just seems like you got 3 members of the Kingsguard who got themselves killed because instead of them just saying, look, the reason why we're here is because Rhaegar secretly married Lyanna and is carrying Rhaegar's baby, and we just wanted to make sure that Robert didn't come and try to kill him or her the same way he killed Rhaegar, and the same way that Tywin Lannister then killed off Rhaegar's other kids. I don't understand what's so hard about that. I mean, these guys are supposed to be some of the most honorable knights in the kingdom. They know that honor is what brought Ned to the Tower of Joy. I don't see where you don't understand that, hey, you know what? Probably the right thing to do here, tell Ned why we're here, and maybe this conflict doesn't have to happen. Unless they just really wanted to fight that badly. Some people, they're just like, fuck it, I don't care about any of the other shit, I just want to fight. So, they could have just wanted to fight, but to me that was kind of stupid. They threw their lives away for nothing. And I actually have a bonus question. So the bonus question is, how long have the Maesters been around? So I was thinking about the Night's King, right? He's 13th Lord Commander of the Wall and the Night's Watch. And it said that the first men didn't have writing, right? First men predated the Andals. The first men built the wall about 8,000 years before the story. The Andals showed up 2,000 years later. Night's King was in between there. Right, so it said that, after the fall of the Night's King, they scrapped all the records and, forbid his name to ever be spoken again. I'm thinking to myself, wait, records? If the first men didn't have writing, then how the hell would they have records of who the hell the Night's King was? And for some reason, that just got me thinking about the Maesters, and it's like, all right, well, You have this order of, basically scientists and healers, or whatever. They're in all of your great castles, some of your smaller castles. They're the guys who basically are the ones who distribute all the knowledge throughout the Seven Kingdoms. And, I mean, maybe this might be explained in the Winds of Winter and Sam chapters when he's actually doing his training. So far, I haven't seen anything in particular as to how and when the Maester Order came to be, and also how it is that they came to be in all parts of Westeros. Because think about it like this, right? Before the Targaryens, the Seven Kingdoms were seven individual kingdoms, right? They were not all under one government at all. So, how is it that you have an institution in one kingdom? You have people that can go from any of the other kingdoms there and then be ferried back out to all the other kingdoms, and still answer back to that one institution. That would be the equivalent of saying, well, you know what? Yeah, the United States, Mexico, and Canada are all three separate countries. We all have our own laws or whatever, but Mexico is the place where everybody, like these particular scientists, go and train. And in this one particular place in Mexico, I don't know, let's say Mexico City or something like that, right? There's, some uh, repository of all collected knowledge for the North American hemisphere. All of these scientists only really answer to this particular conservatory, and the United States, Mexico, and Canada basically follow their lead as to what it is, that they say as far as how knowledge is disseminated and distributed to all of the inhabitants of these three different countries. You know, I couldn't see our societies going for that. I don't know how how Westeros stood for that before the unification of the kingdoms. So that's just one of those things where I'm like, huh, yeah, that's kind of interesting right there. How is it that the Maesters got that kind of influence when it all started from the Citadel in Old Town, in the Reach, when the Reach was its own thing. So yeah, those were my questions, or at least some of the questions I had on my mind about this series. You guys, let me know what you think about this. Am I missing something? I could be missing something. But yeah, you guys let me know what you're thinking about this one. And as always, rate, comment, subscribe, share, tell your friends, come back for more. That's been my time. Don Willie. I'm out.